This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network on a big Thursday night. Good to have you with us once again. We are back on the road, the Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Neither rain, nor hail, nor snow, nor gloom of night will stop the Sports Talk Pinto from getting to its assigned destination. Had to come through it going west today, coming out of Columbia. Of course, as Frank Howard once said, as I've already said this week, the only good thing coming out of Columbia is I-26 going west. Boom, boom. No laughter on that again. Have I worn that joke out already?
He wore that joke out. So, yes, you repeating it time and time again probably has.
Yeah.
I get his points. You know, there are a lot of people that would say the same thing about Clemson. It's 85 going south or north. So
yeah. Well, no, what they say about Clemson is the way you get to Clemson is you go north till you smell it and west till you step in it. That's
exactly.
But
you're at a rose between two thorns.
You stealing my stuff, man. We're at the rose between two thorns. And the illustrious Hunter Reed, I was thinking about this the other day, Hunter Reed, the sports information director, but he's probably an assistant athletics director for communications. You know, they add a whole lot of verbiage. As you get older, you get more words added to your title, you know. But Hunter, Chris, you probably recognize this.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be the longest running man in his position, man or woman in his position in the state of South Carolina. So let's take a moment with Hunter here with us and applaud the great Hunter Reed. Thank you. On behalf of Hunter, you know, he won't admit it, but he's part Gamecock because he has a son at South Carolina, though you will never hear Hunter Reed say go Cox. He'll never say that. Not in a million years. But how about this? We had Monty Dutton on with us earlier in the week from PC, and Hunter Reed is in our presence. We are just blessed with Furmanites this week. The funny thing is, if I'm not mistaken, Monty went to Furman and became the SID here for a while after Rick Covington, I think. But he's also a PC guy because he grew up there. But Hunter went to PC. He's a PC guy who's been here at Furman forever.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
And Hunter may be rivaled. Hunter could probably tell you if this is accurate. But the longtime sports information director at Francis Marion University, Michael Hawkins, I think actually started about the same time as Hunter did, or maybe a year before. So he would be the only one that I can think of that would rival Long Jeopardy with Hunter Reed.
You know, Hunter, leave it to Chris Bergen to rain on your parade. he
just trying to be accurate.
He just mentioned Michael Hawkins at Francis Marion. You swim in what? Swim in facts. Hunter lives and swims in facts. You might be right. How many years, Hunter? 40. See, Hunter corrected me last year. We had not an argument, but we had a intellectual discussion about how you count years in your career. Like, is this your 41st or your 42nd? You know, based on when you started, the year, et cetera, and what year you're in. Of course, he eventually won the discussion by proving to me that I was wrong in my assessment. So, but he is beginning his 40th year here at Furman. So we're up in the press box, and it is overcast. It's not raining. It rained pretty much the entire way. I'll tell you, give you our weather eye report that as you head west, it's wet the entire way, raining pretty hard coming out of Columbia all the way into Newberry. Once you get up around Pomeria, it sort of lets up a little bit, and you hit 385. It's still wet the whole way. It's been raining up here, but it's sort of easing up as you get more west. And here right now, though it's overcast, we don't have the beautiful sunshine raining down on Paris Mountain in the background. It's overcast, but it's not raining, so that's a good thing. Maybe this thing's getting out. What about down your way?
We've had rain off and on much of the day today, not nearly to the degree we had during Sports Talk last night and overnight here in the PD, but I think we're starting to get on the backside of the storm now as well, so anticipate weather improving. Did not get anywhere close to the amount of rain they were calling for, which is obviously a good thing, and hopefully the rivers will stay within their boundaries and not flood, but I'm sure there are people along the Grand Strand and Low Country that will be dealing with flooding, but I think we probably avoided the worst of it. Now North Carolina dealing with it, and then it'll zoom through Virginia and be out of here in the next day or so.
So it's moved its way up into North Carolina, heading into the Mid-Atlantic.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Okay. Palmetto Pigskin Tour. So we'll have the Paladins with us a little bit after 7 o'clock tonight. Coach Clay Hendricks will be here, the defending Southern Conference champions, participants in the playoffs last season, and looking to go back again this year.
Looks like we have some internet dropping out. Yeah.
And that is absolutely true. Furman hoping to back it up like they always do. And Furman preseason in the top 25 FCS poll. So this is a team that's going to be talented and loaded and ready to go again in the Southern Conference. And you look at where they open up. They don't take it easy up on the mountain in Furman because they've got Ole Miss to begin the brand new season in Oxford on August 31st. Then they come back home, a more apples-to-apples comparison, I think, for Clay Hendrick and his team, as they'll square off against Charleston Southern. Then you have Stetson before going to William and Mary, and then they'll start getting into Southern Conference play after that. So, but last season, just a terrific year for the Paladins, and we anticipate, and hopefully Coach can shed a little more light on where things stand with them through fall camp thus far. But this is a club that went 10-3 last year, and keep in mind one of those 3 losses was to South Carolina, and then they lost in the second round of the FCS playoffs. A phenomenal game, one I wish they had won, and I think we were all hoping they'd win at Montana. Lost 35-28 in overtime, and it'll be fascinating to hear from Clay Hendricks and the players how much did that motivate them going into the offseason, into spring practice, into summer workouts, and now starting to get ready for the upcoming season. So we'll see. And Furman will join us just after 7, and I think Phil has rejoined us as well.
Yeah, we're having a little dropping out issue, I think.
Indeed.
Yes,
example
indeed
number 2.
We do, yeah.
So we'll get Furman on the horn just after 7 o'clock. We'll go with Coach first and then a couple of players after that. Mike Morgan set to join us tonight as well. Plenty we can chat and chop up with Mike Morgan on the move just after 6:30. Normally we have Mike at around 7 o'clock on Thursdays, but since we're on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, Mike has been kind enough to say, you know what, we'll bounce back, and he'll join us at 6:30. We'll talk with him about all things college sports and starting to look forward to the upcoming football season. In the interim, we've got time for your phone calls here this evening at 888-898-2525. If you'd like to be a part of the program, that's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Again, at 888-898-2525. Some news notes of the day while we try and reconnect with Corn up in Greenville. A couple of things to pass along to you. Did want to, if you're waiting to watch and have not seen it thus far this afternoon, might want to step away from the radio for just a second. Do have an update on the Olympics and the men's 200 meters. All right, that's enough time for you. Noah Lyles did not win the gold. He did not complete the double-double. As a matter of fact, Lyles finished with the bronze, came in 3rd place behind the young man from, and I'm going to butcher his name, but it's his last name is Tobago, and he was able to win the gold medal. And I thought afterwards, this was fascinating, Josh. He said, I can't be the face of athletics as I'm not as arrogant or loud a person like Noah, talking about Noah Lyles. So I think there are folks, and I'm quite frankly, unfortunately, I think I have to admit I fall into that category. Noah Lyles is a terrific athlete, but he doesn't need to tell me how good an athlete he is. I can sit and watch him run the 100 meters, run the 200 meters, go perform, and then if you want to talk after the Olympics are over, yeah, that's fine.
So you're saying there's a little bit of arrogance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Just a touch. So And it's unfortunate because he's a tremendous athlete, but I think when you get athletes who are that bold about themselves, it comes back to bite you in the backside if you don't go through and follow through, because he was talking about completing the double, winning the 100 meters, which he did, finishing third now in the bronze here today. So I'm sure you'll get to see it a little bit later on tonight, but I thought the comments of the guy who actually won the gold medal, not being the face of, as he put it, athletics, because he's not an arrogant or loud person like Noah. And keep in mind, this is a Noah Lyles who also went out and knocked down on the NBA a little bit with some of his comments earlier in the week. Said, the thing that hurts me the most, this was actually after the Tokyo Olympics in 2021 when he won the bronze in the men's 200-meter final once again. He said, the thing that hurts me the most is I watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong, I love the U.S. at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here thriving, putting on their flag to show they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA. Direct quote from Noah Lyles. So he's representing the United States, and he loves the U.S. at times. So I have to admit a little glee that he did not win the gold. So I'm sorry. We probably should pull for all of our U.S. athletes, but when one of them that's that boastful and can't back it up, I take a little joy in watching him fail to the standpoint he didn't get the gold. What do you say, Phil?
I heard that comment too, and, I hate to see internal jealousy among our Olympians, We're supposed to be representing the good old U.S. of A. and wearing the flag proudly and standing up for the country. This internal bickering is not pretty on the world stage. So let's just take the gold medals and go home. I'm sure you mentioned, and sorry I was away for a moment, I think we're good now. I'm sure you mentioned in your comments the, 17-point rally today by the men's basketball team?
I think now we've lost Chris. I can't hear him.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
This could be weather-related. Wouldn't surprise me if it's weather-related, because I was on a hard line up here and was having issues. Had issues at Newberry last night, so it could be weather-related.
I know I was winning. It was Serbia. And down 17, and fortunately Steph Curry said, all right, enough's enough.
Chris, we lost you there, so we heard the last 2 sentences. I think a little bit of this is probably weather-related. Phil, are you there still?
You lost me or Phil?
I lost you, Chris. Chris, we didn't hear you.
Great. All right, on my end. No, Phil, I had not had a chance to update the basketball, so feel free.
Well, you go ahead because I'm still opening my computer and getting set up from that standpoint. So I just know they were down by 17, and Steph Curry hit 9 threes, got red hot. They had to rally in the fourth quarter. They were down. They had lost each of the first 3 quarters, rallied in the fourth quarter. And now they move on to play France in the championship game, the gold medal game.
Get to see Wembanyama go up against his NBA counterparts on Saturday. But, 195-91. Serbia actually, as Phil pointed out, outscored Team USA throughout the first 3 quarters. And then the United States finally decided, hey, we're supposed to win the gold medal. Let's play like it, and outscored Serbia 32-15. But the one thing going into the Olympics, Phil, I thought the one team that could give us some problems would be Serbia because of Jokic and his ability and how familiar he is with everybody he'd be facing. And he had a terrific game. I think he had 11 assists, going along with 17 points and 5 boards. I mean, Serbia is an outstanding team, and that's probably a much truer indication of the talent level between the two squads as opposed to the first meeting they had, I think, in group play, where we won relatively easily. And France will be a whole different animal on Saturday because if you watched any of the team sports in the Olympics when France is playing, you want to talk about home country advantage. They certainly have it for sure.
Now, do you think we should be referring to the United States teams as we and us? Can you be fans of the United States teams in the Olympics?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your country.
I think so. They're representing our country.
I'm just asking the question from a broadcasting standpoint. If we should be, not you in particular, just across the board, should reporters
should we call them them instead of we?
Well, I mean, just depends on how you want to view. I mean, it's like high school and college play-by-play announcers. Some refer to their teams as we and us, like I'm a part of the team. It's we and us. Others take the more distant approach to it. I don't know what the announcers are doing as far as the Olympics with the United States teams. I don't know. Do they refer to them as us and we in the national broadcasts?
No, everything has been the United States, Team USA, whatever the case may be. But, yeah, never we. It's always – that's the reference. And I think that legitimately probably to answer your question from a broadcaster's perspective, that's the way to handle it.
Plus, I imagine the broadcasts are international in nature. So you're not just broadcasting back to the United States. So one thing I wanted to correct from last night, I didn't realize it until I actually looked it up in our conversation with the Newberry AD last night. I was talking about scholarship totals for Division I, and I said 120. It's actually 105. So I want to get that correct, though it's a minor thing. The schools can offer up to 105 scholarships in football, not 120. It's a 20 scholarship addition. Right now they can offer 85.
85, okay.
And they can go to 105 and cap it there. They don't have to go to 105, but they will. There'll be internal pressure or external pressure, school versus school, to get to that cap number, I'm sure. I think the question is, so, guys who ordinarily would be walk-ons, will they be getting scholarships? Can you add? I guess you cannot add walk-ons on top of the 105 on scholarship, right? That's the
roster
limit.
cap. Yeah, that's the roster cap. So, you'd be foolish. I think I even asked you this question. Do you have to give out 105 scholarships? And you said no. You can have 105 players. They don't all have to be on scholarship, but I don't know why anybody at the Division I FBS level would take a spot on a team now without a scholarship involved.
I agree. I would think that you would spend, all of those if you're at the biggest level. Who knows? You might pick up somebody you might think is not going to be that much of a contributor, but you put him on scholarship and he or she comes in and develops. Well, I shouldn't say she. We're talking football. He comes in and develops, and you end up having a useful player, a starting player. It happens all the time. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. If you want to holler at us tonight on Sports Talk, Mike Morgan will be here early at 6:35 because we're up here at Furman, and we'll take the 7 o'clock block for the folks here at Furman. Afternoon baseball today, we've got Cincinnati leading Miami 2-0. That game just getting underway. San Francisco on top of Washington. In fact, they won that game in 10 innings, 9-5. The Braves didn't play much defense, didn't play much pitch. They had good offense today.
Yeah, pitching was optional today.
16-7. The Braves, well, they have really they've hit the skids here of late. San Diego beat Pittsburgh 7-6. Mets won at Colorado 9-1. So that's it for afternoon baseball. We'll also have more from USC and Clemson camps for you tonight. From the Gamecock standpoint, Dante Reno, the freshman quarterback, the youngest guy in the room. Everybody else in that quarterback room is an older fellow, a transfer. Of course, Lenore Sellers is not a transfer, but he's a little bit older than Dante Reno, who is the true freshman in the room. And so he's got a lot to look up to. But Chris, he's a guy with a lot of talent, and he camped at South Carolina a good bit, been around the program a lot. He's a big guy, son of a coach. His dad's the head coach at Yale. And, he may have to wait his turn here a little bit at South Carolina, but he's a talented-looking guy. I got to believe he'll get a shot at some point to run this offense.
How long do you think he'll have to wait, though? Let's assume Lenore starts Old Dominion and serves as the starting quarterback throughout the season. Gamecocks win 7-8 games. You would assume Lenore is going to be the starter next year as another solid campaign, keeping in mind staying healthy. He would start the following year. In this era, and not saying Dante's thinking that way because we've seen guys, the Carry-On Joyner comes to mind, that will stay. Luke Doty's another one at South Carolina. But, you wonder how long you can keep a highly touted freshman sitting on the bench. I saw a story today about Arch Manning at Texas, and Steve Sarkisian's trying to do everything he possibly can to figure out a way to get him on the field. And I'm sure the reason is he doesn't want him transferring somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because if you look across the landscape of college football, I bet Arch Manning could start at 90% of the other schools in the nation, but he's stuck behind Quinn Ewers in Austin, and you just wonder, they're actually thinking about having a sort of Tebow goal line package just to be able to stick him on the field.
Yeah. Which, and I get that, and Quinn Ewers had a great year last year for Texas, and he was a highly recruited, highly regarded prospect coming out of high school, but everybody had Arch Manning penciled in as a starter from day one wherever he landed.
Right.
And he chose to go to a place that would have an established quarterback, had an established quarterback, and obviously he's not better than Ewers. If he was better than Ewers, Sarkisian would be playing him as the starter. At this point, he's not. So I'm just saying, when it goes back to these rankings and these evaluations, I mean, I know he's very, very good. And like you said, maybe a lot of other places he could be the starter or maybe not. Maybe he's not as highly developed, highly skilled as he's been made out to be. He comes from a small private school setting in New Orleans where they ran the score up pretty much at will on everybody. How much has he ever been tested? How much has he ever been challenged? How much of the hype is because he's a Manning?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So I'm not knocking. Don't get me wrong. He may turn out to be a Heisman Trophy winner. But, unfortunately, in today's society of sports, especially with football, especially with colleges, especially with recruiting, young men get built up tremendously by the recruiting networks and the analysts, and they just can't match the hype. And then fans are wondering, why is this guy not any good? Well, he might be very good. He's just not as good as has been expressed by people who probably really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to evaluating talent. But, that's good. He's good for selling a lot of subscriptions to the Texas Longhorn websites and to the recruiting networks that hyped him up. Again, he may turn out to be the best quarterback they've ever had, but so far he can't win the starting job. And we've seen that, especially at the quarterback position where the hype is so heavy. We've seen that at a lot of different places.
Sure.
I mean, look, take Clemson, for example. Take South Carolina, for example. The Gamecocks had two quarterbacks in their quarterback room the last couple of years who were both Elite 11 quarterbacks coming out of high school, DeCarrion Joyner and Luke Doty. And neither one of them could consistently play quarterback at South Carolina in the SEC and weren't better than Spencer Rattler, who was a highly recruited, highly regarded quarterback coming out of high school, to be fair. And Clemson's had a string of them, and, Hunter Johnson was supposed to be the next Trevor Lawrence or the next Deshaun Watson. They got to think about where he fell in place. It didn't work out for him, and he transferred out. I'm just saying, be careful about what you accept on evaluations and how hyped you get about a particular recruit. It doesn't always pan out that way. All right, what else do we have?
I did want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
One quick follow up on the Noah Lyles story, and again, winning bronze today in the Olympic 200 meters. He actually, and to his credit, and I was harsh on him about his arrogance, but to his credit, he actually was tested positive for COVID. I didn't realize that we were still testing athletes for COVID, but he said he woke up a couple of mornings ago with symptoms and tested positive for COVID, kept that diagnosis to himself, and ran the race. So you have to wonder, in fairness, how much did that affect him? I mean, we're talking hundreds of seconds here. We're not talking about 2-3 minutes here. How much did that wane on his speed today in the 200 meters?
Yeah, good point. Let's see, a couple of other quick notes before the break. Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik was named to the Davey O'Brien Award watch list for the nation's top quarterback. He was the only one from the state on that list. And our poll question of the week, presented by Larry Lucas State Farm Insurance in Columbia, 803-799-1998 is how you can contact Larry and his staff. And what will Clemson be after they play that tough 5-game slate to open the season? 408 votes, and 27% say 4-1. 17 make that 49% say 3-2. So 49% say 3-2. 27% say 4-1. 17% say 2-3, and 6.6% have the Tigers a perfecto 5-0. Okay, we're going to hit the break. Mike Morgan will join us We'll hear from the Gamecocks and Tigers camps, and, of course, the Furman folks coming up later. Be right back.
Nothing on that beat. Nope.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Talk, Sports Talk Media Network. On this big Thursday night, we're up at Furman University, Palmetto Pigskin Tour stop. Let's see, this week we've been to South Carolina State, we've been to Presbyterian, we've been to Newberry, and now we're at wild and wonderful Furman University. We're at the foot of Paris Mountain, which is in the background. Truly, truly one of the most beautiful views in all of college football on a fall afternoon when you've got the leaves turning colors and the weather just right and the Paladins on the field and the place rocking and rolling as only Furman fans can bring it.
Prettiest in our state, don't you think? Prettiest setting for football in South Carolina?
Yeah, if you're just looking for beauty, absolutely. It's gorgeous, gorgeous here. Okay, speaking of beauty, time now to welcome in Mike Morgan for another edition of Morgan on the Move. And he is brought to you by Columbia Discount Appliances. Same appliances, the same brands, it's only for less. They have delivery available throughout South Carolina. So call Sherry right now at 803-770-3008, 803-770-3008 for new appliances delivered to your door today.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. Don't let the summer of savings pass you by. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Okay, let's welcome in Mike Morgan. Morgan on the Move. With us once again on Sports Talk. Good evening, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just got off the phone with a Kenny Banya. He is the Deputy Athletic Director of Erskine College, and he was very offended that your show has not gone there yet.
Kenny
to cover the Erskine. Kenny Banya. Kenny Banya. He's been working out. He's huge, but he's also the Deputy Athletic Director, and he wants to know why you're not there to cover the club football team. A little bit offended, actually.
Actually, Mike, Erskine has a Division II football team. And we will be at Erskine later on this month. We always go to Erskine. We've never missed Erskine on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour since Erskine started their football program.
I also spoke to a Sid Farkas of Converse University. He was also a little put back.
Who is this? Sid who?
Sid Farkas, Converse University. I'm sure you're familiar with it, over there in Spartanburg. One of your great affiliates there, I know, is certainly listening, and they want to know when you're going to be covering their football slate.
Well, they only recently started admitting men, right? Converse is now taking males, if I'm not mistaken. So
in this day and age, I don't judge anything by gender, Phil.
This is true.
I'm all about the bottom line.
That's true.
Mike, I had no idea how big a Seinfeld fan you are.
Thank you for catching that, because I knew Phil would.
No. Are those Seinfeld names or something?
They may or may not be Seinfeld names. But nevertheless, I can't be responsible for remembering every athletic director of every college. That's what you're there for. But I just want to make sure they're all getting the proper respect and coverage, and you're not playing favorites.
No, sir. If you play football in South Carolina, you see the Sports Talk Pinto pull up in the fall, you know it's a big night.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
It's a big night. Okay.
Is there a cooking college in the Palmetto State? Is there like a Johnson and Wales?
There is a Johnson and Wales in Charleston, I believe.
Okay. Yes. Well, now I'm told they have a flag team 7-on-7, and they're waiting for their coverage. So if you could go ahead and make sure that they get the proper coverage there. I believe it was Mr. Lipman who called me and mentioned that. So please do what's right.
And their end zone,
don't play favorites.
And their end zone has been painted by the guy who did the Snickers commercial for the Chiefs. Of course, they are the chefs.
That's correct. Yes, they are the chefs. Yes.
One thing
good.
about this show is everybody wants to be a comedian, but the listeners know there's only one funny guy on the show. Okay, there's truly only one funny guy on this program.
Joshua Cohen.
And we know who that is. I don't know that Josh has ever cracked a joke in his life.
I think, Joshua, if you gave him 10 minutes on the stage at the Improv, he would crush it. He would absolutely kill the audience. He would come up with – he works a little blue. He's got some semi-offensive humor, but it's still funny, damn it. And I think you ought to give him that opportunity.
I'll pass. Thank you.
All right. To the reason you were so highly paid to come on this program.
Yes.
Basically, a week into camps around the nation, what are you noticing? What are you focusing on?
Well, I mean, honestly, whether it's college football or training camp, first week of the NFL, I don't think you get a whole lot. I think everybody holds their breath. Like, you don't want a situation like Texas where you just lost your starting tailback, who happens to be one of the best tailbacks in the country. That's the worst nightmare for so many people. And what I always get a kick out of, and this goes back to when I was doing the Panther preseason games, and there was always that, well, do you play a guy, and if you play your quarterback or if you play Steve Smith a quarter, and what if they take a big hit and they get hurt, and everybody will second-guess the coach for playing him in a meaningless game, or in this case, working the guys too hard in a college football practice. Most of these injuries are non-contact. They're soft tissue, it's rare that a guy goes out for the year because he took a bone-crushing hit by the strong safety on a blitz. I mean, that just doesn't happen very often. So a lot of it is just your body, even if you're staying in the gym all year long, like, for example, if you're a wide receiver, you're probably not spending a lot of time running the route tree and making all those unique cuts and twists on your joints, your ACL, your LCL, your MCL. And so you see this so often. Guys are bigger, they're faster, and I'm not sure if that doesn't lead to a little bit more injuries when it comes down to it, because, like I said, so many of these injuries have nothing to do with an opponent hitting them.
Mm-hmm. Well, we already saw where Texas lost their standout running back Baxter to an ACL. And, I shouldn't bring up the name Baxter, right? Wasn't that your former pup?
That's my dog that passed away, yes. But that's all right.
Shouldn't have brought that up. But anyway,
well, you shouldn't have. I mentioned
name.
Texas running back. You obviously were listening intently. But I did mention the name,
right?
So I wouldn't have to suffer through the anguish of losing my dog. But thank you for both of those things.
I'm sorry, I really didn't.
We're off to a hot start.
We really are, but that's a big blow for them. But
no, it is.
That's the one thing you don't want to see happen is a key player go down. Of course, then again, look, South Carolina last year, their opening game of the season, like the first play of the game, they lose their starting right tackle. And he's not back for almost the entire season. So it can happen very early in the season. You hate to see anybody go down. What do you make of Oklahoma coming into the SEC as far as, sort of a mixed reviews on them? Ordinarily, you would say Oklahoma, yeah, man, they're going to be right there at the very top playing for the championship. But, preseason poll, they were down a bit, as I recall. But what do you think? Is it Oklahoma? Are we just thinking about them based on their legacy, or does Brent Venables have a team good enough to come in and compete in the SEC?
Well, let's not forget they won double-digit games last year, and they beat Texas. Mm-hmm. So I think the hype is justifiable. And then Jackson Arnold, if he lives up to the billing, could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Now, that's a big if. We don't know. Last year was Dylan Gabriel. That was a proven commodity, and he was able to provide what you needed. This is a guy that I think has more top-end potential. He's a better athlete, but we don't know if he's going to be ready for the moment. I mean, you could say that about half the quarterbacks in this league, including Lenora Sellers of Carolina.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I mean, there's always an advantage when you've got a guy who's been there, done that. But they believe Jackson Arnold is certainly a next level quarterback, and they've got talent around him. And Jeff Levy is, Brent Venables is a guy that I think gained a lot of confidence from that fan. It was a rough year one, but he gained a lot of confidence last year, and now it's the SEC. I will say this. They have, along with Georgia and Florida, for my money, the most difficult conference schedules. I don't even think it's particular. Well, let's say it's not close. Well, Carolina certainly is up there too. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Oklahoma's schedule and you look at Georgia and Florida, I think those are the three toughest. I think Missouri is the easiest. So a lot of people are predicting Missouri to win a lot of games. I think part of that is if you start doing that schedule drill, you can't help but notice they draw the easiest teams in the league and they avoid a lot of the toughest ones. So that's always a huge factor in all of this.
Sure.
Mike, we all know, I think, that Billy Napier is on somewhat of a warm seat down in Gainesville, but you talked about his schedule. I think it may be the most difficult in the country, not just in the SEC. I get it, we're in the win now or you lose your jobs type situation, but with their administration, if they go let's say 6-6 or even 5-7 with that schedule, I mean, would they take that into consideration, or do you think he still has to win and win fairly big to keep his job?
Well, just guessing here, but you got to remember that the guy that hired him is your AD. He's also the guy that hired Dan Mullen. He doesn't want to have to make another coaching change. I think he's going to give Billy the benefit of the doubt if they're respectable. You know, if they beat Miami in week one, there's the potential to get off to a good start. Where that schedule turns into a nightmare is the back half.
Right.
It's like the back half is brutal. But if they lose to Miami in the swamp in week one and all that negative energy continues and they play some sloppy football, which they played a lot of last year, then that just tends to have a snowball effect. But I certainly think the AD really wants to make sure he can hang around at least another year.
Mike Morgan on the move with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Phil live on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour up in Greenville at Furman University. We'll hear from the Paladins just after the top of the hour. Shift gears a couple of moments. Mike, you mentioned the NFL. Of course, preseason games underway. As a matter of fact, the Panthers will have their first dress rehearsal tonight here in about 20 minutes at New England. Is there any reason for optimism in Charlotte this year, in your opinion?
Oof. They play in the worst division in football. That hasn't changed. Right. I would like to see Bryce Young get a fair shake. By that, I mean blocking for him, receivers who can make plays, including Xavier Legette. So I think they'll be better. I think they'll be a better team, but I don't think they're going to make that tremendous. You know, I mean, they're trying to overcome bad trades, bad draft picks, just a lot of bad juju. And I don't know if that's done in 1 year. It can be done. Other NFL franchises have certainly done it before. I mean, the Bengals were the laughingstock of the league for years, and then Joe Burrow was drafted, and in his second year they made a Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Panthers are going to follow that template, but I'd like to think they'd be better in what is still the worst division in pro football, the NFC South.
Yeah, Mike, don't be picking on the Jewish people and talking about their juju, okay? Let's steer away from that.
Oh, okay. I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Before we let you go,
Gentile.
Before we let you go, had to get your opinion on ESPN announcing today that "Get By" by Jelly Roll will be the anthem for the 2024 college football season for ESPN. That'll be their anthem. Just your thoughts on Jelly Roll and Get By, and just, how that fits in with college football. Just your thoughts, please.
The only thing I know less about than Jelly Roll is the Johnson and Wales starting offensive line. So
the left tackle is Francois Souffle.
Okay. Well, I have heard of him. He likes to do pancake blocks. The last time I checked.
The tailback is Greg Benedict's. As in Egg Benedict.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Shall I continue?
Okay.
Or?
I hope not. No, I honestly don't know the song. Now, if you played the song, does your producer have the ability to play the song?
He does.
Can we get Joshua to play the song?
What
and
song?
I'll tell you if
What's
it's
the
any
name?
good.
Get By Jelly Roll.
Get By Jelly Roll.
The anthem. I guess I didn't know ESPN needed an anthem. I guess they have a.
Well, you got to replace. Are we talking the SEC game of the week, or are we just talking college football?
No, they
whole.
they just put out that this will be the anthem for the 2024 college football season. Jelly Rolls, Get By. Yeah.
Is that going to take over for coming to your city for game day, do you think? That Big and Rich did years ago?
They finally get rid of Big and Rich.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
All right, here we go. Here's a little Get By. I happen to like Jelly Roll.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an extremely talented artist. Yeah, he's an extremely talented artist, and
I'll go with Jelly Roll. Yes, I'll go with Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll. Yeah.
I need the Jelly Roll out of here.
Not just your local Krispy Kreme. You're going to go with them on ESPN. Right. Yeah.
That's right. There you go.
All right, you Jelly Roll on out of here. See you later.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Okay, that kind of fits the way the first hour has gone. That's been like one of the more discombobulated conversations we've ever had with Mike, so that's good. Yeah, a Jelly Roll.
From Seinfeld to Jelly Roll.
Yeah, we pretty much covered everything there, didn't we?
Yeah, indeed, and then some.
Yeah, I happen to like Jelly Roll. I mean, he's had some good songs out there. I'm not familiar with this one, but somehow it's got a connection. The song is expected to be a central part of ESPN's promotional content for the upcoming college football
game day
season.
Song.
It doesn't say that, no.
Yeah.
It's the anthem. This is the anthem for ESPN's college football promotions. Okay, let's hit the break, and we'll come back with a bit more from here at Furman. We're going to have the Paladins with us. We're going to hear from the Gamecock side of things from their young freshman quarterback, Dante Reno. Who we got from the Clemson side?
We got choices tonight. You can go Harris Sewell off the offensive line or Antonio Williams as wide receiver.
You make that call.
Pick.
You're the team captain over there. You make that call. Be back in a moment. Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, sportstalksc.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing.
All clear.
One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about.
Southern 500, baby.
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
1,000 miles of gravel, I've been walking with no shoes. No matter how far I come, I can't outrun my roots. I think you know why I do what I do when I do.
Okay, back on Sports Talk. We're up at Furman, and after the top of the hour break, we'll be joined by the Paladins. Coach Clay Hendricks will be here. Boy, what a record he's put together in his time at Furman, his alma mater, of course, where he was an outstanding player. But through 7 seasons, he's got a winning percentage of about 64%. So he's done a great job. Done a great job in taking Furman back to where Furman expects to be, and that is among the nation's elite. Finished with a number 6 national ranking last year, but they lose 17 of 24 starters from last year's team. So maybe, I don't know, they don't say the word rebuild around here, but going to have some new players, some new names. Reload is probably a good way to put it. Let's go to Gamecock Larry before we hit the top of the hour break. Gamecock Larry, it's good to hear from you. I hope you're feeling better than you were the other day.
Well, I ain't doing too good, but I just one reason why I called. Well, had to move me in my living room. I can't get no thing on my radio, so I just called in and listen to you on my phone. That's why I called. And I'm glad to put me on. But I'll be okay. I think I'm going to be doing fine about Monday or Tuesday.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Monday or Tuesday. 22 days, folks. Kick off today. And I ain't going to give you no prediction because I want to make sure I'm okay when I say it. But I think I give you 17 points or something. That's off the record. But that said no, just knock all that off the record. And Monday and Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, I'll be okay. Just keep me in your prayers and just more or less go know. I love you. But talk to you later.
Okay.
Go Phil Cornblue.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gamecock.
Thanks, Larry.
Glad you're feeling a little bit better. Prognosis sounds good. So we'll have Gamecock Larry to kick around a little bit more.
Phil, are you one to talk about prognosis? Week. Is that something you're trained in?
Yeah. Why? What do you want to know?
Nothing. I was just wondering, talking about his health status. So.
Well, he just sounded better than he did earlier in the week.
Well, we're glad, that's for sure.
And I always look at things as the glass half full, so the prognosis is rosy. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back on Sports Talk, Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Stop on this big Thursday night. We're up in Greenville. We're at Furman University, home of the Paladins, home of the defending Southern Conference champions. And we are going to dive right into things with Coach Clay Hendricks as he's joined us here in the press box as we look out over beautiful Paladin Stadium. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you again. How was your off season as you look back at last season and made your preparations for this season and realize that you're losing a good amount of your top players from last year?
Yeah. Good off season. The summers, I think the older I get, the faster they go. This one went by fast. But we're already into it now, and last year won't do us a lot of good right now, and so we hadn't talked about it a whole lot. Mm-hmm. We certainly lost a great group of players. I think we're a little bit of an unusual place, and our retention has been so good. We had walk-ons sticking around for 50 years, but I don't know. I think we've recruited really well. I think we've retained really well, and I think our staff does a great job of developing players. And we still got a pretty veteran group. Now we have a lot of more younger ones who we haven't had to play a lot of young guys, so we've been able to redshirt. That's kind of been a little formula for us, and we got some really talented young guys who just kind of been waiting their turn. So really pleased with prep so far. Mm-hmm. Still got a ways to go, but I'm excited for this group.
Well, look, Furman always has a target on his back. Southern Conference play maybe bigger this year because you're the defending champions. Everybody's going to be dialed up for you guys when you show up on the schedule.
I think somebody was asking me about our rivals. I said, well, I've been around so long off and on in this league. We had a lot of different rivals.
Yeah.
It was kind of who the better teams were at that time. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're everybody's rival. I think we get everybody's best shot, which is okay. It's fun to be in that kind of environment. And, we had a chance to win our 15th conference championship. And, that's what we're about, is playing for championships. And, we aren't a championship team now, but that's our goal, to try to do the things that are going to give us a chance to go compete, play for a championship, and I certainly feel like we can do that. I think our league's really pretty wide open. There's certainly, you always look for teams to have quarterbacks coming back, and a couple good teams do, but I think it'll be, you go through the schedule in the last 2 years, we've had a pretty good run, and they're all tough. Even the team just said, well, that team wasn't very good, or that team wasn't, and we fought we fought like crazy to get a win, and it'll be like that again.
Well, you lose your quarterback, Tyler Huff, who was pretty special.
Yeah.
Did a lot of great things. So what's it looking like as you came out of spring and now you're here in the preseason camp? Have you settled on anybody, or is there still competition going on?
Well, it's interesting about Tyler. So, we were sitting here 2 years ago. Nobody knew who Tyler Huff was.
Correct.
He played at Presbyterian College and coming off of an ACL, missed a year and a half, and and then, we can't replace Tyler Huff, So, Tyler, heck of a player. I'm glad we had him. I don't think he ever lost a Southern Conference game when he was the quarterback. And, he missed the better part of about 3 or 4 games there at the end of the year. We had a young man, Carson Jones, came in, and, we beat Chattanooga in a huge game to win the conference championship with him playing. Tyler went down the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And so he's played in several games. He certainly showed he's very capable. Really, it's kind of a 3-man show right now, I think, him. And then a kid named Trey Hedden, the only really mid-year enrollee we had. We had an early enrollee out of high school. He's from Tampa, Florida. Highly recruited guy that came in January and really talented, has done some great stuff. And then kid Noel Garcia, who we redshirted a year ago, was our third. It's from actually La Mirada, California, of all places. But, so it's those 3. I don't know that we've ever had 3. I know the time that since I've been the head coach here, we feel like you just had truly 3 quality guys.
Yeah.
They were competing. And, it's been through, I told you today was practice number 8. Man, it's we're going to scrimmage pretty good Saturday. And I don't know, in the next week or so, we'll maybe kind of see how it goes. And, are you looking for somebody to distance themselves? Maybe. I don't know. Is there a case where we could play a couple of guys? I don't know. We have 4 non-conference games to start the season. So, I don't think we have any preconceived ideas. We're just going to let it continue to see who, when you start playing 11 on 11, it's a little different going out there in other situations. And you're not tackling them and doing things, but let's see who move the offense at the best.
What about the running game, which is always an important part of what you like to do offensively, with the offensive line, having to replace guys there? Will it be as stout as it has been in recent years?
Well, you know what? I didn't think we ran the ball as well as we need to a year ago. Now, a lot of things happened. I thought we went from having probably running back maybe the strongest group on our team a year ago. At the end of the year, we were playing with like our 4th guy and had several guys. There's some things we can do better up front. We lost a couple of great players up front, some guys that maybe we haven't had. You know what? The way I see it right now, I've been really, really pleased with the offensive line. We still have a pretty, there's 4 guys that are either in their 4th year or older up there returning now. And we got another young guy in there if we were playing tomorrow. All the backs, with the exception of Dom Roberto. And Dom, had season-ending surgery there at the end of the year, so didn't finish. But, I thought they had a really good day today. I like the way that group's playing. I think we've got as good of a receiving group talent-wise as we've had any time since I've been here. And that maybe goes back even as far as when I was an assistant here. And we've had some great players, but I just think we got some depth. I think the skill set of our quarterbacks is a little different than Tyler. Tyler was probably a run-first guy, and these guys, I just think their ability to stretch the field, I hope helps the run game. And so, there were times later in the year where we got, it was in a phone booth up there, and that's not how we want to play. We want to be balanced, and I think it showed up a little bit, down the stretch, and we weren't quite as good. But no, I've been really pleased with this group and how they worked. I think we got a chance to be really good defensively again, which always gives you a chance.
Sure. So. Do you worry, going back to the offense one more time in the running game, do you worry about replacing the rushing yards that Tyler would give you from that position?
Absolutely. I mean, now I do think we're in a little better position to replace them. I don't really probably want to rely on my quarterback to be the guy. And Tyler, a lot of those weren't, design runs. That was just him. He was going to look and take off. And, it was a little bit limited later in the year and couldn't do quite as much of that. But, I think anytime you got to, our guys now are mobile. They're not Tyler. But also, their skill set's a little different, too. I think they can do some things he didn't do. So I think we'll always try to adapt to what our strengths are over there. And again, I think we've got all those pieces in place. And, Josh, I know you're going to talk to. He's been a great addition. We've had 2 NFL tight ends back to back. And so we got a pretty good product to sell. A guy that wants to come in here and get his hands on the ball, and I think that will continue to. We had all those guys back with the exception of Mason Pline. So no, it's been kind of a fun August. Just because we got a lot of competition. It's just kind of fun to watch them each day, see who can get better and who can be the guys you can depend on.
Has this team, because you got, so many new starters to put in, has this team developed its own personality yet, like last year's team did?
Well, that last year's team was an unusual year just because of all, we had 6-year and 7-year guys. We don't have those guys. We do have some older guys. That team had a lot of personalities on it, which was a great thing. This group doesn't have quite the, I've said this several times, the meeting rooms are a little quieter, which is sometimes good. I actually told them today after practice, I think one of the things I've appreciated about this older group of kids, and we don't have as many old ones, but, sometimes you get older kids in programs and I've kind of put in my time and
get a little stale.
Played and it's kind of get me to the season. And, there's a little truth in that even as a coach. But this group, man, they work. They just get in there and work, and they're doing a great job bringing the young guys along. And, we've stayed pretty healthy. And so now it's been different, but I really like the way they've responded.
You touched on the defense a little bit. Go a little bit more in depth about what you like about what's coming back on defense and where you think the strength will be.
Well, I think our front seven's got a chance to be really, really good again. We've been really good there. You say this. I think we had 38 sacks, something like that. Well, we in the low 20s returning in the sacks. They weren't the starters. Mm-hmm. We play. We've had a philosophy there since I came back. We play a lot of guys, and so sometimes we don't have some guys with as many tackles as other teams do. Mm-hmm. But our kids have bought into that. So we got a bunch of those guys. We redshirted a bunch of guys. I think we have the ability to rush the passer. I think probably one of the question marks coming in a little bit is the youth in the secondary. But man, they're a really talented group, and maybe as deep at corner as we've been. Now some of them are young guys, but man, just watching them practice and watching them drill. Again, it's just been a really good group, and again, that goes back. Our coaches, this is by far the best staff I've ever worked for. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I see it.
Now you've worked for some pretty good staffs.
Well, I have, and but they just do a phenomenal job. Dwayne Vaughn starts with him as the defense coordinator, an aggressive group. And I think we do a lot of good on good. Really all year long, and I think that helps us. And I think we both sides of the ball can challenge the other side with both scheme, a little bit of things. And we're a group that we like to think we're tougher than everybody else. Now that's us thinking that. Yeah. But I'm a big believer too. If you're going to do that and you're going to try to be that way, you better practice that way. And that's how we practice. And I mean we try to be smart, but we got pads on. We're doing some kind of an inside run period. We're going to do it, and our guys take a lot of pride in that. And again, it's a little bit of give and take, trying to service each other and do that. And everybody's got pride, and everybody wants to win. But I think we're all after the same thing.
So you'll open up against Ole Miss down there at the Grove in Oxford. You do own that series lead 1-0.
Yep, I was told
19-24. Hunter Reed tells us that Furman beat Ole Miss in Greenville. 7-2? 7-2. Yeah. So you'll go in there. You'll be the favorites.
Yeah, I guess this is a return game. It just
this
took
is the
a while
return game.
Well,
only took 100 years.
I've never been there. I've been a lot of places. I've never been there, and certainly they've been phenomenal. The last couple of years, and I think they were going to be really good. Then they won the portal lottery, and they paid well, I think, in the off season. So so I mean, these games are booked well in advance, and who knows when that game was booked? How I don't know how they were then.
Well, I think Lane Kiffin said after you beat him in 24, he said it'd be 100 years before he'd play you again. So,
but it's certainly be a huge challenge. Those games are huge challenges, no matter what, just because of the bodies and the dollars and the scholarships and just lots of different things. But it's also something our guys look forward to. We got a proud program, proud tradition. Our kids, we'll prepare well, and I'd be shocked if they don't crank it up and go play as hard as they can and get after it. It won't be. I say this. I don't think they'll be intimidated, but at the end of the day, that's only going to carry so far. You got to be able to go execute and try to get stops. But man, that probably in our world, if you're picking the matchup, that's probably a little tougher matchup just because of really in a little bit of the nature of how they play, especially offensively.
And considering they are a legitimate possibility to win the SEC. They're a legitimate SEC title contender.
But like I said, we're I don't know when the last time they've won a SEC championship. I imagine it's been a long, long time. And again, our guys are used to playing well and competing and playing for championships, and those. That's just what our program's about, and so it'll be a fun experience, And I've been, I was sitting there trying to think, maybe compare them a little bit. I think at 18, when Clemson, I guess they won the national championship, and I think it was Trevor Lawrence's first game. It's when they had the 4 first-round picks in the defense line, but they weren't nearly as explosive offensively. Yeah, so they hadn't decided to put Trevor in there yet.
That didn't happen until the Georgia Tech game when he took over.
Well, this group is just so explosive offensively. So then what are you going to try to do? You're going to shut them down, or you're going to try to keep up with them? So it's just a little different. I always think these games are so much about when you truly have a chance. And I look back through the history when we've played well, you really felt like you could match up with them. And again, we played really good defense, but that's just a totally different
Yeah.
That's a totally different deal.
Well, good luck this season. As always, we thank you for coming over. Hope you have a good, healthy year with everybody, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot to you. And, Paladins will be right there in November with a chance to win another championship. I have that feeling.
Well, that's the plan, and again, got a lot of work to do, but it'll, you blink, it'll be time to go to Oxford, Mississippi, and then we'll be excited to get in Southern Conference play and go see what we can do.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for coming up and visiting.
Thank you.
All right, after the break, we're going to be joined by a couple of Paladins. Jeremiah Jackson, defensive end, been here for a while out of Fleming Island, Florida, and Josh Burrell, who is a graduate transfer from Florida State, but he is a South Carolina native out of Blythewood High School, and he's the tight end that Coach was referring to. They'll join us after the break here on Sports Talk. We're up at Furman, and back in a moment.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones. Not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Okay, we're back here at Furman on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, brought to you by the South Carolina Watermelon Association. And we are now joined by two of the Paladins, veteran here at Furman, defensive end Jeremiah Jackson, who's a redshirt senior out of Florida, and a newcomer, though he's not a youngster, tight end Josh Burrell, who's a grad transfer student from Florida State out of Blythewood High School in Columbia. Good to have you guys with us. In fact, we might have to hold you over because we're a little shorter on time than I like to have when I talk to the players. Sometimes the coach goes a little long, if you know what I mean. So it eats up the time. Well, Jeremiah, first of all, Joshua, good to have you at Florida at Furman. After you were at Florida State, I remember you coming out of high school several years ago. And I was just going to say, we weren't going to force you to recite the fight song since you probably don't know it yet. You probably know it, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, since you were here last year, compare last year to what you're seeing so far this year in the development of the Paladins this year.
Right. I mean, obviously it's no surprise that we lost a lot of seniors last year. So, the experience is not there, but the talent, I feel like, is, right there, maybe even better than last year's group. So, yeah, we've been working, trying to get as close to a game look as we can in this offseason. I think we're looking good. Yeah,
Coach mentioned that, like, on defense, they ran a bunch of different people in there. You might not see it individually in the stats because you're sharing so much time. But that means guys leave, guys coming in have had some experience.
Right, yes, sir. Since I've got here, we've always had it too deep at the D-line. We're always rotating linebackers. It was a good way to get young guys reps, and it's definitely helped a lot for the program.
Josh, what led you to Furman?
Honestly, coming from Florida State, I decided to get into the portal. Like I said, I'm a graduate transfer, so finishing school down there, I felt like it was a good time to make this change in my football career, and I really just wanted to be on the field more. That's kind of just what I've been missing down at Florida State. I have no bad blood with the Seminoles, but it's time for me to get on the field. So
yeah,
that led me here to Furman.
Yeah. What about for you the transition to what you were used to at the FBS level, the high level at Florida State, ACC, and then this is a great program, don't get me wrong. Maybe not all the bells and whistles that you had there at Florida State. Does that make any difference to you as you make that transition?
Honestly, I would say it hasn't been that much of a drop-off. That's kind of one of the things I was kind of looking for when I came in to Furman, just kind of seeing how things operated, how the guys worked here, just kind of the ins and outs of Furman football. And honestly, it's not that big of a drop-off. It's really just, of course, resources, and that just comes with the game. But I feel like with the way the guys work, the standard that they have here, I feel like everything is pretty much in line, and that's honestly why I've enjoyed my time here at Furman so far, and I'm looking forward to the season.
What do you believe that you bring to the offense at the tight end position?
Honestly, so coming from Florida State, in high school I played receiver. So now I'm making a transition to tight end. It's honestly I wouldn't say a whole new game, but I'm having to learn new things that I didn't have to learn before. Learning more stuff that the O-line has to know, more blocking schemes and stuff like that. But also being able to use my versatility in the offensive, in the passing game and stuff like that, just kind of where I'm lined up, out wide, in the slot, on the ball with my hand in the dirt, in the wing, in the backfield, all that stuff. Just kind of show my versatility, and the offense can show off its creativity. I'm looking forward to just finding different ways to get the ball in my hands and, help the team win. So
you're kind of what they call the hybrid tight end, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you think are your strengths? Receiving, are you a good receiver or blocker? What will fans see in you?
Right. So, like I said, I play receiver, so that's kind of what I'm used to. Just kind of getting open, catching the ball, and making plays happen when I have the ball in my hands after that. So, just kind of meshing that with also, like I said, I'm having to learn new things. So, learning the blocking schemes. I think with my size, I'm able to, get those blocks done. And the coaches here, they do a good job of putting me in a position of where I can win those one-on-ones instead of just having to take on like a big bully defensive tackle or something like that. Like, they're putting me in a position to make a block that I can go and win. So,
can you guys hang on for a little bit?
Yes, sir.
You don't have like night classes or anything? Or study hall? Study hall. This is Furman. I expect y'all to be studying, 18 hours a day. We're going to spend a few more minutes with you guys after the break since we were short. We'll be back to Furman in just a moment. We can never get enough Furman Paladins on Sports Talk. A little overtime edition here of the Palmetto Pigskin Tour up at Furman. We're visiting with Jeremiah Jackson, defensive end, Joshua Burrell, tight end. Jeremiah, last season, man, that was almost a dream season for you guys. What was it like as you guys went along, you put that long winning streak together, win the SoCon, go to the postseason? Boy, lose a tough one at Montana. Could have kept on going. But what was that season like for you?
Right. I mean, dating back to 2022, after, that good season, all the older guys were like, we got to, come back and make it happen, get the big one, So, going through that whole year, we pretty much knew that we had a shot the whole year, and we just had to keep attacking, keep working hard to get back to that point. It was not like Coach Hendricks says, each game was a dogfight to get the win, but I think it made the wins that much pleasurable. We get to that Montana game, and to be so close, it definitely hurt, but it definitely it showed us that we can compete, with anybody in the country, and I think coming into this next year, we're trying to prove the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
I saw you play your first two games because you played Tennessee Tech on a Thursday night, I believe, and y'all mopped them up pretty quickly. And then you were in Columbia. And to me, that performance, even though you lost, you were right in there with them much of that game. I mean, that kind of told me that this Furman team's got a little something to it and it's going to have a good year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, any FBS game we get, we always go into it that, we can win this game. We always have that mindset that we can compete with anybody in the country. So, yeah, no, it was no surprise to us that we were in the game with them. Obviously, we wish it was a different result, but yes, sir.
Josh, as a receiver, as tight end, working with new quarterbacks, how would you say your relationship is coming along, and you guys are on the same page, quarterback and receiver?
So coming from summer, we have our player-led practices and stuff like that over summer. Just kind of starting getting the ball rolling really with installs, timing, routes, and all that stuff. And going through camp now is starting to click. You're seeing the plays being made. It's kind of like second nature with the quarterbacks and the receivers. Everything's starting to click, and I think we have some really good quarterbacks that can get the job done. So,
do you have a favorite route?
Honestly, I don't. Whatever's called, I'm trying to get open and just go make a play. So
yeah, but with your size, I imagine sometimes throw it up and let you go get it, or do you like going across the middle?
I'm cool with both.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
In high school, who hit you the hardest? Do you remember?
I don't remember who, but I know. Honestly, I did like a little H-back type of deal for one type of play in high school, and that was one of my biggest hits. But I got right back up. So I was fine.
Now, I got to ask you, coming off the Florida State program, man, selection day of the playoff teams, what was it like around your place?
It hurt. Since I've been here, I've explained the story a couple of times.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of curious how that went down. It hurt, like I said. Going 13-0, doing everything you can to get to the playoff. And then seeing that selection come out, it was tough. It was like, okay, like what else were we supposed to do? But we just kind of bought into the team. The rest of the guys, it was kind of hard. It was like a lot of guys were like, okay, like what do we do all that for? Guys are kind of opting out of the bowl game. Declaring for the draft. Of course, now this day and age, transfer portal as well. So it was kind of like a transitional period from that selection. But the guys that stuck around after that selection and then still put that work in to go play in the bowl game, it showed the toughness of those guys and how bought in they were into the culture and stuff. And just kind of the people that are surrounded by that program and the leadership that they have down there. So,
could you at all accept the argument that without Jordan Travis, Florida State just wasn't the same team?
Honestly, like, in the moment, we didn't want to hear that. Even the fact that we went and won the ACC championship on our third-string quarterback, and still getting the job done, it was like, okay, we got the job done. We should be in there. Like, we've done what we were supposed to do. But, like, looking back on it, it's okay. It's like we're not the exact same team without Jay Trav. Jordan Travis was a dynamic football player. He made a lot of things happen with the ball in his hands. And, looking back on it, you can say that we weren't the same team. But like I said, we felt like we did everything we could and everything we were supposed to do to get in that playoff. So it hurt in the moment. So
that's something you're going to take with you forever?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's kind of like a life lesson, everything doesn't plan out how you want it to sometimes. Even when you control everything you can control, you just got to keep pushing, keep working, and, go to the next opportunity and make the most out of it. So
yeah. Jeremiah, before I let you guys go, you've been one of the older guys here. You have a new guy come in, who can contribute right away. Do you kind of take him under your wings, even though he's offense, your defense, but kind of show him the Furman way? Do you have to kind of break him into that at all, or like Josh just kind of picked that up on his own?
Right, yeah. I mean, it was actually pretty easy because he came in there and everything we asked him, he did it plus more. He stood by the standard, elite's the standard. That's a big saying around here. And, he was elite walking in, and he kind of he came in ready to go. So, yeah, not much taking him under the wing that I needed to do.
Do they ask you? They don't ask you to drop back in any kind of coverage or anything, right? Are you strictly straight ahead, go get the quarterback?
Oh, I mean, here and there. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you do you ever draw him in practice? Have you had the chance to kind of run him down or anything?
I haven't yet, but it's possible.
Well, guys, good luck to you. Good luck down at Ole Miss. Protect that one-game lead in the series that Furman has on Ole Miss.
Let's do it.
But I hope you'll have a healthy year, and I appreciate you coming over and spending time with us.
Yes, sir.
Great seeing you guys.
Yes, sir.
Take care. Good luck to you.
Thanks,
good
guys.
luck to the Paladins. Jeremiah Jackson and Joshua Burrell with us tonight from up here at Furman. And best is the standard. Expect nothing less from the Paladins. They bring it every year, Chris.
Phil, I have an idea. We need to take Josh's comments about Florida State getting screwed last year and send it to every single member of the College Football Playoff Committee to remind them they made a mistake, because you heard him. That's going to haunt him for the rest of his life, because they did everything they were supposed to do and still didn't get into the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't think they care.
The CFP guys? No, I agree. Josh cares.
People, yeah. They are cold.
But no, he handled that so eloquently. It was wonderful to hear, because he's right. They should have been in the playoffs.
Yep.
I don't know what else they could have done.
Well,
they couldn't go 14-0. They only had 13 games to play.
I was one of those who said, without the quarterback, I just don't think they're the same team. And Alabama is healthy with their quarterback, and et cetera, et cetera. But I would not have been blown away if they had put Florida State in there, because their record was pristine, and they had so many other good parts. So, okay, I appreciate them being with us. Let's move quickly to the Clemson side of things, and then we'll do recruiting, and then we'll hear from the Gamecocks.
Okay, quick update, though, on NFL preseason. One team won't make the playoffs, the Carolina Panthers, off to a rousing start. Scoreless game, late first quarter against New England. Phil, they have a grand total of minus 3 yards of total offense to the Panthers.
Well, just picking up where they left off last year.
No Bryce Young tonight. He is not playing. Jack Plummer starting at quarterback, and he's 0 for 3. So tremendous start by the Carolina Panthers. Meantime, a team that hopes to be back into the playoffs this year, and it'll rest, I think, a lot on this unit. The Clemson Tigers and the wide receiving core. Nobody off that unit, a Biletnikoff Award preseason award nominee. So what does Antonio Williams have to say about that? He met with the media last night after practice, and the Dutch Fork standout was asked his thoughts about his unit. What do they have to do to get back to a standard they've held dear for many, many years? And he was asked initially, how about talk a little bit about the freshman guys, Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, and how much they've impressed you thus far?
I feel like I have a really good eye for talent, especially at the receiver position. So, I know I can tell when somebody, is going to make an immediate impact, and I think they both have the chance to do that. They were highly rated guys, so most of you already know that, but from my point of view, they're definitely special.
I guess what makes Wesco first, I guess, unique?
Say that again?
What makes Wesco unique, if you're talking about
I would say just his ability to influence at the top of routes. You saw in the spring game he can make spectacular catches. So just that size and frame and quickness he has, he has the chance to be special for sure.
Same question with Moore. I guess what's unique about him compared to everybody else in your receiver pool?
I would say the same thing. He has that size, 6'3", I think, but he's a little bit bigger than Wesco, like weighs more. But he definitely has a chance to make an immediate impact just like Wesco.
Antonio, what have you seen from Cade so far that maybe he didn't show last year during camp?
He's rocking the mullet now, so I think just off first impression, just when I saw that, I see some more confidence from him, growing and maturing as a leader on this team. Guys look up to him, I look up to him, so I'm just excited to see that on the field this fall. A new Cade Klubnik. I think really the end of last season was really big for him. That last Kentucky game, I think, was a big step for him.
Anything different on the field so far from him, just in from what you've seen?
Just his second year in the offense, so making checks and like when he's seeing the defense, just he has the power to make any call he wants when he sees something he likes. So just reading defenses and getting the ball out quicker and more precise.
How about you? How are you feeling coming into this season, and how did this offseason treat you? What were you able to do and accomplish that you had set out to?
I think my goal coming from last season, I felt in the Duke game I just was kind of sluggish, and I think it was partly just conditioning and my weight. Not saying that the strength coaches did anything wrong. I think it was just me just easing through kind of from my freshman season. I was just felt like maybe I was just entitled and didn't have to work as hard because I thought it came easy to me. But just after sitting out last season, I just wanted to get my body right, so I kind of cut weight down a little bit. So I'm just playing faster and staying in shape and trying to get in game shape before our first game, because that first game is no joke, so we got to come out ready, play one.
Can you just talk about what it's like to be in that situation? College football is incredibly humbling, especially when you least expect it. Just what's it like to battle that and to come out this other side and to feel how different you feel after going through some adversity?
I think I'm just it was definitely humbling, and it kind of my sophomore year of high school, I mean, I probably told y'all this story a million times, but I was just hurt, and it kind of is the same situation I was in last year, and didn't have any offers, but then it just put this feeling inside of me that just made me go out and make plays, and I had that my freshman year and my freshman year of college, but then I feel like I lost it a little bit. So I have it back now, so I'm just ready to go improve it.
I think Coach Sweeney said this has been your best offseason that you really attacked it. I mean, was that the motivation? Just felt like just kind of disappointment from the way sophomore year went, that's why I'm going to go out and kind of do what you did, I guess, in the offseason.
Yeah, I feel like he just put just more weight on my shoulders just to like lead this group. So it wasn't just me. Like last year before, I was looking up to Bo and guys like that. So and Joe. So now I feel like it's me and Adam's turn to really like lead this group. So just taking that role and kind of building that part of my character as well has just helped my game too, I feel like.
Coach Grisham mentioned that kind of Adam brought wide receiver university T-shirts for like even other receivers, I guess. How has he taken on that leadership role as well as yourself during offseason with the younger guys?
Mm-hmm. Adam's definitely a vocal leader for sure, and he leads by example. I think we have different leadership styles. He's more of the talker, and I'm more of the example, just by what I do. But he he gave us those shirts, and it said wide receiver U, and then under it says prove it, because we haven't proven it these last couple of years. So, that's the standard here, and probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, we were at that point where we were mentioned as wide receiver U. So I think just as a group, we have to have the mentality to get back there and just not to say it, but go and prove it this year.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Well, some real honest words there from Antonio Williams. Gotta like that.
Yeah, he's
nice
insightful.
Assessment.
I like listening to him. Yeah, he's really, really insightful, thoughtful guy.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, recruiting brought to you by Seawells. We remind you, you need the best in the catering business. You got something coming up that needs great catering. You want to call the folks at Seawells, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com, and get out there tomorrow, the last day of the week, for the daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2. It's only $14.50. Okay, recruiting. We have a story up on our website on Desmond Green, one of the top prospects in the country for 2026. Big offensive tackle, 6'4", 325, out of Timberland High School. And, of course, South Carolina, Clemson are heavily involved with him. They're on him very strongly. Clemson, South Carolina, he said, been on him the longest. They were the third team to offer, and he's built a really strong relationship with them. He's doing the same thing with Clemson and Coach Luke there. He jumped in once he got the job at Clemson, and he's been to both places multiple times. He's got big-time offers: Georgia, Oregon, Florida State, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, Auburn, Oklahoma, and Florida. He's going to go to Florida for the Miami game, be his first visit for this season, and no timeline on a decision with him. He's right now still looking over everything. He's not at that point where he's ready to narrow things down, and eventually he will. He'll take official visits, narrow it down some more, and then get to his decision. So this will be an interesting one to watch play out in the next recruiting cycle. Offensive tackle Desmond Green of Timberland, 6'4", 325, and 2027 defensive back Joshua Dobson of Catawba Ridge was offered by Texas. And there you go with the recruiting report tonight. Okay, Dante Reno is a guy we were talking about in recruiting just last year before he signed with South Carolina, enrolled at South Carolina here in the summer, and now he's there to participate and compete somewhat for the quarterback's job, if not now, then down the road. And we had a chance to talk with him at the Gamecock Media Day. Dante, as you go into preseason camp, kind of where do you think you are in your development in your short time here at South Carolina, trying to, make that transition from high school ball to SEC ball?
Yeah, I think for me, the spring was obviously my first time ever being out here with these guys. And going into summer, I feel like I'm way more confident in what I'm doing, answering questions, still learning so much in the meeting rooms and on the field. But I got, obviously, Robbie and Lenoris and Davis, 3 great guys that have all played football. And Robbie started a bunch of games in the SEC. So learning from guys like that, just picking their brains, whether it's in the meeting room, on the practice field, like, what did you see? Just anything I can do to help my game as well, because, everybody always says it takes one quarterback in the whole room for that quarterback to be good. So as much as I can do for myself and helping those guys, and however they can help me, it's been great. So it's gonna be a fun camp.
Do you feel at this point ready to jump into the fire, or do you need a little bit more time to be developed and to pick up things and maybe to let the game slow down for you at this level?
Yeah, I think obviously going through camp is going to help a lot. I'm always going to have confidence in myself, whatever they throw me out there, or whether we're not. So, but yeah, I think I need to develop a little more. Obviously, just knowing protections, knowing defensive schemes, knowing what we're doing, what's a call, when to call it, just simple stuff like that. So obviously, keep developing throughout the fall camp and just taking it day by day and learn as much as I can.
You mentioned Robbie. I mean, he's the oldest guy in the room. He's got starting experience. How much of his wisdom is he sharing with you younger guys? I mean, even Lenoris is a young guy because he's only played in 4 games at South Carolina. How much are you learning from him as far as the little things to pick up as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think I'm learning everything I can from whatever they say, whether they answer a question or whether it's a pass on the field or a drop when we're doing 7-on-7 or simple stuff like that. I mean, Robbie's played in arguably the biggest game in college football, which is the Alabama-Auburn game. So if you can talk to anybody that went through that game or talk to them about what they did going up to that game or how they prepared or anything like that, just to add it to your game, especially as a young guy, and learning as much from his experience that he had at Auburn. Obviously, he was at Oregon to start, but doing anything I can to help myself.
So when you look at this offense overall from the quarterback position, you see a lot of new offensive linemen, but some experienced offensive linemen. You see depth in the running back room, some exciting players at wide receiver. What do you think this offense can do this year?
Yeah, I think it's very explosive. I think we have a lot of playmakers outside and in the running back room, and I think our tight end room is really good as well. And our line group is very, very experienced, I'd say, with some of the portal guys they picked up, and some of the guys have also been here. And there's a couple of guys in my class that are also really good players as well, as Josiah Thompson, Cam Pringle, and Blake Franks. So we're all developing, all learning, but the offensive line clicking right now. It's pretty cool to see, especially with Rocket back there and Juju and Oscar and all those guys they got in the running backfield.
I mean, at SEC Media Days, the guys who were there, they were saying, don't sleep on the Gamecocks this year. You know, and some of the national media kind of picked up on that theme a little bit too. What about from the inside? I mean, is there a quiet confidence among you guys that, okay, you know, you pick us down towards the bottom, but just wait and see?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of us, obviously you see that stuff and nobody believes that inside our building. But I think everybody knows what we have here, how hard we've worked in the offseason, and what players we have on offense and defense. And I think there's a lot of experience on both sides of the balls, just from what I've seen, and it's going to be fun. So it's going to be fun to prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, it seems to be the thinking, Chris, over there at South Carolina, proving people wrong. So we shall see Dante Reno, and we'll see if he's a young man that we hear from down the road at South Carolina. Certainly, they could redshirt him. We were talking about how he might work his way in.
Wow.
You know, you want ideally redshirt him this year. And I should mention, I said summer. He came in back in January, so he was there, of course, through spring and spring practice and all that, and now. So he's getting well-versed. But, yeah, he's a guy you could redshirt. Okay, so he's a freshman next year, redshirt freshman next year. Sellers will be a third-year guy next year. And, you know, if things go well for him, who knows? If he'll be there 3 years, if he'll be there a fourth year or a fifth year. If you're Reno, you kind of read those tea leaves, and if you impress the coaches and they don't recruit over you, it could be your job in a couple of years.
It's an interesting balancing act, isn't it, the coaches have to deal with, because my initial reaction, maybe even more so in basketball than football, why would you ever redshirt anybody? Because they're not going to stay 5 years. But you look at Dante Reno, I think you have to take it sort of case by case. He's in a position that obviously he knew coming in, excuse me, he was not going to be the starter this year, probably not the starter next year, perhaps not even the starter the following year. So in his mind, if he is happy at South Carolina, wants to stay in Columbia, maybe a redshirt route is the perfect way for him to go.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think they would love to be able to redshirt him this year. Couple of quick notes before we leave. Third-round draft pick, Cole Messina from the Gamecocks, the catcher, has been promoted to Spokane. That's in the, Colorado organization, right? And let's see, what else I want to mention here. Oh, several baseball rules changes approved by the Playing Rules Oversight Panel. The double first base will be permitted in the postseason. Bat testing before every game. Relievers with a 2-game suspension after ejection. Previously was 4. Fight rules, ejection rules amended. Head coach and pitcher now ejected for foreign substances being used on the mound. Of course, they don't have to worry about that at Furman, because Furman doesn't have a baseball team.
Right. They should.
Which is
so
one
the
of
SEC
the great
continues
sins in college sports.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So the SEC continues to be the guinea pig and proving grounds for new rules. They put in the double base for the SEC tournament. Lo and behold, it's going to happen in the NCAA tournament next year.
Absolutely. Thanks to Hunter Reed and everybody here at Furman. See you from Chicago tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody.